What else did catch your eye at the Olympics?
Mm, I think it was just a beautiful event. I mean, it just reminds you how. I think the biggest thing is that Olympics is that time of year where people who don't necessarily follow sport come together to watch sport, which I just think is brilliant. Like I had friends, family members just watching it all day, and like you know, you obviously always see it every year where the Olympics happens, then everyone wants to play badminton or squash, or they want to get into sports again. So I think that you know, despite COVID, despite no crowds, despite everything else, it achieved its purpose, which was to unite and to bring people together, to provide passion through sport, to, you know, the underdog. I saw afterwards, like a Facebook, someone from Facebook had posted data on like the most trending athletes, and there was like this Indian javelin thrower. I think it was the last day of the Olympics, and he won gold, and you know, first time India's ever won gold in track and field for sure. Maybe even, yeah. And the first time they were winning gold in this Olympics, and you know, he got like 1,000,000% increase in following. So I mean, I love those stories. And he's from a really humble background where, you know, he's in the army or navy or whatever else. So I just think that's what the Olympics does. It produces amazing stories, and it did that.
That's true. That's true. And about igniting the passion to practice new sports, you're absolutely right. I started playing basketball because of the 1992 Dream Team and all these superheroes coming to Europe for the first time. And we all started practicing basketball after that in Europe. And in Belgium, it's even weirder because it's a super small country that maybe wins 2 or 3 gold medals every now and then. And so each gold medal is celebrated like, you know, the event. And every now and then you have somebody winning gold a lot in a sport that nobody cares for, and it becomes crazy popular in Belgium. Everybody, ping pong was one of them. That's why you have so many Belgian people practicing ping pong, is because of Jean-Michel Sèvres, that nobody will remember, but he was once a world champion, Olympic champion. And they celebrated him so much for so many years that, all right, ping pong seems to be a popular sport, and everybody started playing it.
I do think like it validates it to your parents. Like obviously they included skateboarding this year for the first time, right? And you know, if you're a skateboarding kid and suddenly your parents watch the Olympics and they're like, oh, that's a real sport. It's not like a side hobby. So I think
skateboarding is not a crime.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a crime. It's cool. It's, you know, but the point being is it's like the way that the Olympics can change perception of what is a sport, right? That's why everyone wants to get their sports into the Olympics, because the Olympics, not only does it grow the popularity, but it makes it real almost, which is great.
That's even why the gaming industry is still somehow interested in being acknowledged by the Olympics. Obviously, they have their own esports tournaments, and one could argue that the ESL is the Olympics of esports, and so, or the NBA or the FIFA World Cup. So why do you need? It's about prestige. It's about recognition. It's about being part of the sports movement at large, and being credible.
It's also about being mainstream, because what happens when you watch the Olympics is people just switch it on, right? And they have it in the background all day for the 2 weeks that the Olympics lasts. And so, you know, you'll be watching rock climbing. You would never tune into the World Rock Climbing Championships, but because it's the Olympics, and then you're like, oh, that's cool, right? So it increases participation, but it also increases popularity for the sport from people who would never be exposed. I mean, it's literally the best way to be exposed to new sports. You know, the amount of people that don't, I mean, obviously I'm a big field hockey fan and I've worked at it, but like a lot of people will watch the Olympics and then go, oh, field hockey's really cool. It's fast, your penalty corners, whatever else. So, and the commentary does such a good job of educating you on how does it work and, you know, whatever else. So there's not many avenues like that where you are watching something and they're catering the commentary to like people who are novices, never seen the sport before, and obviously experts as well. It is so mainstream, and the exposure is great.
Yes. And it has created sometimes big stars, like Michael Phelps is an example I always remember. When you completely dominate in one of the main events, or Usain Bolt. I mean, Usain Bolt is one of the biggest stars in sports still today. And it's magic that happened at the Olympics, because you might even beat a world record there, and then it's double magic for you.
Yeah, no, 100%.
But at the same time, though, it's very uneven, right? How people benefit from the Olympics. So you have these star stories, these breakout stories, who really, it's life changing. And then you have many athletes who struggle to make ends meet and have to get one or two jobs like the rest of us in between competitions, despite winning gold and despite sometimes being famous. I sometimes find that strange about the Olympic movement.
Yeah, it's true. I think it's, it's such an unfair advantage to those countries who don't have the resources, right? Or, calling a spade, there's a lot of like corrupt organizations where the money is not flowing to the athletes or whatever else. Obviously, how much sponsorship money is there in certain countries of the world? So I think it just is, but it's not just the Olympics, right? It happens in every single sport.
It's a reflection of the world.
Exactly.
It's the world we live in sports. I'm not immune to it.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's also about luck. Is the sport in which you're one popular? For example, in the US, if you win gold in badminton, it's not going to be the same than if you win gold in basketball or track and field or swimming, right? No, so there is also that element that you could be a goat of a sport that nobody cares to sponsor. And that's really bad luck. I always remember Sergei Bubka, the Ukrainian pole vaulter. He dominated this sport like no one, I think, ever dominated the sport before or after. But he was in the old USSR. Yeah. And pole vaulting is also not the most popular thing. And he was so dominant that he removed the suspense element out of it. That the only thing we would worry about is, does he beat his own world record again? Or it becomes routine somehow. So all these elements, I don't think he was very wealthy, to be honest with you.
No, 100%. And then also it's a case of like, who else is in the final with you? Because like, if you went on to beat someone very famous, you're obviously going to be more famous than, so there are so many factors to like fame or whatever else, popularity. But I think the beautiful thing about now is it's so people can take clips and then suddenly they go viral, right? So like a world record or like whatever else. And pole vaulting is a very, it's a scary sport to watch. I think most people watch it and go, God, I would never be able to do that. And how do they do that? So I think like today it's easier to get the fame from even these niche sports because you share them, you watch them, like those clips and whatever else.
And like you said before, it's about storytelling. So sometimes it's about he comes from this upbringing, he comes from this, he overcame this when he was young. Yeah. I saw, I think it was on Instagram, maybe another platform, some ads from Open Sponsorship to sponsor Olympian athletes. It was in the run out for the, how did that go? And how easy? Because usually, let me reframe. Usually, if I come to you and say, oh, I went to book in basketball, you're going to tell me these are the hot ones in NBA. And next week, it's still going to be pretty much the same because, we need another NBA finals for things to change. With the Olympics, you need a lot more flair though, right? Because you don't know yet who might you have these up and coming. So how do you go at this?
It is difficult because firstly, the trials are so close to the actual games. So, I remember there was a major Olympic sponsor and of their 5 athletes that they picked for their program, 3 of them didn't even make it into the Olympics. So, it's hit and miss.
What happens then? What happens then? Is there a contract to close? We cannot disclose, but
yeah, you would expect that there would be some clauses that say if you don't make the Olympics, but the other thing is like you also don't want to be like the bad guy if you've got a multi-year contract, like the guy's already down and now you do that. So I think you have to risk it. But that's why, I mean, obviously a platform like ours is really helpful because you can make decisions very close to the time. But the problem is that you're so close that our marketing budget's available. So we did do quite a lot of deals just between trials once we knew who was going in. Obviously, some sports are easier, like, you know, the women's national team, soccer is going to be in, you know, like the NBA team, you know, certain athletes. But a lot of, and then also like, you know, one of the deals we did was with a wrestling guy. Like, it's not like a lot of people are following wrestling. So then you have to figure out how good is he and whatever else. So, but the opportunities were there, especially to do like social and things like that. I mean, obviously this year was even harder because we weren't even sure what was going to be, what was going to happen. Could it get canceled last minute? But
yeah, Japan still had it as a possibility to cancel it 24 hours before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which was like, how do you even cancel it 24 hours before physically, logistically? It's like grounding a plane, really. But yeah, you're right. All that uncertainty is not a good thing for sponsoring and brand money. And I'm guessing probably a lot of the deals that went through were also made at lower rates than they would have been 4 years ago or in 4 years from now.
Good question. Probably. Definitely more short term. So less like longer term stuff. Like, you know, usually we were doing like 3-month deals. This was very much like more one-off stuff. There was also logistical things about even getting the products into the hands. So then we saw some stuff that was like, I'll come back and do it. Therefore, it's even lower. So yeah, definitely like a lot of different nuances to consider.